As my dear mother used to say, what is wrong with you, David? Another follow up on them. Now, I did something which I really regretted for a while for financial reasons. I had the Burn My Eye EP by Radio Birdman, uh, sort of Australian punk new wave outfit or something. Um, Half the band were Americans, and Dennis Tech was anyway. Um, Actually, there were two American members, and they actually came from the town where the Stooges came from, somewhere in Michigan, and was it Motown, somewhere around there anyway. Um, and I always thought that Radio Birdman was so obviously, copying the Stooges. I never liked the Stooges until I heard Raw Power with James Williamson. Wow, now that is something else. But no, I just tried to like the Stooges. I just thought they were dull. I thought the Trogs had done it better 10 years previous. But the I'm dumb sort of on board shit. But getting off track, I had the Burn My Eye EP, which I bought when it came out. Very few copies were sold, and it almost immediately became a collector's item. No, I wouldn't say immediately, but it took a while. It was very, very, very collectible. Anyway, before that, I sort of played the Burn My Eye EP a fair bit. I liked it, but they were covers of Stooges songs, TVI and Burn My Eye, whatever. It was all right, but see, the problem is didn't know him well, but I knew Rob Younger, the singer in the band, and talking about Van Morrison, an arrogant little weasel. Well, at least he could sing. Rob Younger he's an arrogant so up himself, but he grew up in the same area I did, and he is pretty well known around the area for having one of the best 45 collections anywhere. Punk, surf, a lot. But I did meet him once or twice at a friend's place, and I took a dislike to him straight away. He was really up himself. And then when they got famous, the same friend and I were in Newtown, a trendy suburb of Sydney, and we're driving along and we jump out and there's Rob Younger coming out of a pub or going in. We go, "How you going, Rob?" And he literally just turned and walked away. That's the sort of prick he was. The minute he got any sort of fame, it was so rude. I mean, I thought, yeah, I always knew this guy was a prick. And then I saw him many years later in the 90s. I was on Circular Quay Station. I'm standing on this one platform, and on the other, it's always one of those platforms that hardly has any train passengers. But anyway, this guy walks up dressed all in black with long blonde hair down to his ass, but going so bald on top it looked really stupid. I went, "That's fucking Rob Younger." Because, it was a fair way across the tracks, but it was him. I could see it was him. And I just thought, oh, God, he's still trying to be that, the star that he was for about 18 months, 15, 20 years previously. It looked awful. But, yeah, Rob Younger. One thing I will give him points for, he used to go to the Oxford Fun House, which was where the punk gigs used to play down at King's Cross there. Darlinghurst, actually. Yeah, and even that Fun House, Oxford Street, but they called it the Fun House, which is the second Stooges album. So, I mean, him and the Radio Birdman were just Stooges copyists, not original, way overrated. But they had the best jukebox in town. It was awesome. I saw the Scientists there live from Western Australian punk band or psych band. And yeah, great jukebox. I'll give him that. He had good taste in 45s. So anyway, I'd lost my job. I won't go into the details, and I had to move. And I started selling off a lot of my punk records and stuff. I'm talking early 80s here. And one day I was desperate just to have an album because I couldn't afford to buy one. So I took Burn My Eye EP into the Pitt Street Mall in Pitt Street, Sydney, and there's a great little record shop there. I forget what it was called, but really nice guys behind the counter. And I walked in, I said, look, I haven't got any money, but I'm willing to swap this for something. And when I showed it to him, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. Now, this is before I knew its real value. You could see straight away his body language. I thought, oh, what have I done? There's something going on here. And I thought, it's just Radio Birdman. I mean, so what? And this is sort of before this thing became like a ultra collectible. And he said, look, have a look in the albums there and pick out whatever you want. So I walked over, and what did I get? Angry Young Them reissue, mono, and I thought, wow, see, you never saw this in a while in Australia. They didn't sell, or people kept them or hung on to them, or they were so badly trashed that they, but, it just came out on it's a UK, made in West Germany. So, pretty reasonable sort of vinyl for the time. Mono. Boxed Decca. So this is probably a mid-70s reissue, I would say. First time I'd seen it ever. So I just went, oh, wow, great, I'll have that. And this girl was in there, I remember her, and she said, oh, what's that? And I said, oh, it's a band called Them. And she went, oh. And I remember funny things like that. And so I was quite happy until later on I found out how much the Burn My Eye EP was going for. At one stage, it was going for $900, and I'm talking 40 years ago. It was going for outrageous sums. I went, oh, fuck. If only I'd known. But this guy he knew his shit. But you know what? In retrospect, yes, I wish I could have sold Burn My Eye on eBay at some stage and made a lot of money. I'm glad I got this because I know I would never play Burn My Eye EP. And I never play this either, but I look at it, that's all. It's one of the last times where they still had the blurb talking about the band and their songs. And there's one other thing. It's got Mystic Eyes on it. Gloria is on it. I'm going to dress in black. It's actually a really good album. It's all good. There's a couple of slightly weak tracks, but it stands pretty high. It can hold its head high from 1965, the original. And the other thing I'd point out is I forget this guy's name, but that guy came out to Australia. I can't think of his name at the moment. And he played in bands out here and in successful bands out here for a number of years. And then he went back to the UK at some stage, but he's I cannot think of his name, but he's a very well-known musician. So there you have it. 2 Them videos in one day. That's going to make Alan Static Traveller very, very happy.